industry, my seniors and students. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sajjad Gilani, and I work with UNDP Pakistan as Social Policy Analyst in the SDG Support Unit of the Planning and Development Department, Government of Sindh. I welcome you all to the webinar on Future of Skills, Reimagining the TVET Sector Post-COVID-19, as part of the virtual celebration of World Youth Skills Day hosted by ZABTech. As you all know, established in the year 2000, ZABTech is now one of the largest private sector providers of technical and vocational education and training, TVET in Sindh, with the ambition to build a national workforce that is capable of effectively participating in economic and social advancement of the country through imparting quality TVET education. Hence, in this way, ZABTech is playing a very crucial role for education and training for productive employment, which is vital for sustainable economic and social development. And particularly in the post-COVID-19 world, institutions like ZABTech have an even more enormous potential to help transformation and revitalization of TVET for the youth of Sindh, and thereby lessening the socio-economic impact of the crisis. Now, with the global socio-economic crisis caused by COVID-19, it has not only had an immediate impact on the world economy, but on learning opportunities for youth, including the closure of technical and vocational education and training institutions, thereby hurdling the conventional method of delivery for the TVET sector. And so this is the topic of the webinar today, that how the future of human resource skills can be revitalized through bringing innovation in the TVET sector. We are lucky today to have a panel of distinguished policymakers, academia, and TVET industry leaders, whom we will ask to share their experiences and ideas about repositioning TVET and share innovative solutions for coping with the changes. We have on our panel today Honorable Minister for Labour, Education, Literacy, and Human Resource for Government of Sindh, Saeed Ghani Saab, who's just had an urgent meeting at the CM House, and we are hoping that he's going to join us a bit later. We have Dr. Suleiman Sheikh, Secretary Board of Trustees, ZABIST, Ms. Nabila Umar, Director General of National Technical and Vocational Training Commission of Pakistan, Ms. Malin Dick, who is the Culture Attaché for Culture, Economic, and Press Affairs at the Consulate General of the Federal Republic of Germany, Karachi, and Mr. Masoor Ahmed Sheikh, Chairman Sindh Board of Technical and Vocational Education. So we are really looking forward to benefiting from the expertise of today's excellent panel. But before we ask questions from the panelists, I would like to very briefly shed some light on how important is the TVET sector through the lens of sustainable development goals, and how much local and pertinent is the Global Development Agenda 2030 in terms of the TVET sector. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals, or which are more widely known as the SDGs, are a set of 17 goals for development for any country, including Pakistan. Pakistan was, in fact, one of the first countries to recognize SDGs as its national development agenda. The 17 SDGs are segregated into 169 targets, and the progress of these targets is measured through 244 indicators. And in a partnership with UNDP, the Government of Sindh has already prioritized acceleration towards the SDGs in the immediate, medium, and long-term goals for 2030. So these 17 SDGs cover development sectors like poverty, food security, health, education, gender equality, water, energy, economic growth, climate, partnerships, etc. But one thing that stands out is the interlinkages and interdependencies among various goals and targets. For example, the goal for health has a direct linkage with water, food security, education, etc. And similarly, poverty is linked to education, health, economic growth, equal opportunities, energy, and so on and so forth. This means that while working in one sector, impact is also visibly noticed in other sectors of society. The same is also true for the inverse relation of these goals among themselves, which means that in order to generate a tangible difference in one sector or goal, for instance, education, interventions have to be aligned with health, food and nutrition, and water, and poverty and partnerships, thereby applying a holistic lens to accelerating progress on a certain goal. In the very same way, when the technical and vocational education and training systems help in imparting skills that substantially increase the number of youth and adults with relevant competencies for employment, it also directly contributes to decent work and economic growth, entrepreneurship, as well as help eliminate gender disparities. And to name just a few, the TVET sector directly contributes towards acceleration for SDG 4 by working on training education, by working on training and capacity building of teachers and trainers and students for skills training. It has gender equality at SCD5 by providing infrastructure facilities and enhancing training opportunities to women in traditional and non-traditional skills, which leads to increasing access to better economic opportunities for women. And then SDD8, work and economic growth by providing skills upgradation to keep workers' skills up to date with new demands, especially in the context of green economy. Improving the match between classroom and workplace, learning environment, and most importantly, by involving the private sector, businesses, trade unions, and employers associations in partnerships for designing TVET to ensure its relevance to industry needs, and so thereby also contributing to SDG 17, that is partnerships. And so these interlinkages of TVET sector explained briefly. I would now go to our distinguished panelists today and start with Dr. Saliman Sheikh, Secretary Board of Trustees ZABIST, and that while the COVID-19 pandemic highlights some already important and existing structural weaknesses of TVET system, including financing, it also brings an opportunity to rethink their readiness to face similar crises in the future with more agility. So my question is how to prepare TVET system for an unprecedented economic crisis like the one we are witnessing.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Saab, can you hear us?
Ani, thank all the participants that on behalf of ZABIST Board of Trustees, that they have been very kind to spare their time for this important discussion. This is a United Nations Day for skill development, and especially we believe that the youth of Pakistan is, and we have got a bigger number of youth. People do not find, all of them cannot go to the universities. There are dropbacks. There are youth who cannot find their position in the higher education. And definitely we have to find some alternate for them so that they should have a gainful employment and they can have a source of earning. And poverty can be raised, because this is also very important issue to reduce the poverty. What we have done at ZABIST, that we created this special directorate known as ZABTech, and we are stationed at Karachi, but we are operating all over areas of Sindh province in order to develop these youth who are detached, dropped off. They should come to the technical centers. But now, in the COVID position, we have offered online, and the people can access from their home, from their own Android apparatus, that is telephone, mobile phone, and we shall start soon from September these particular programs in order that ready for the technical. We have got a lot of job market, but we do not find the properly skilled people. They are, and literacy rate is about 54. Population because youth is 60%, from 15 to 35 years of age. So therefore, a very big majority of youth is left over. We have to make them skilled so that they can be more useful, more productive for the society. And today's webinar shall look into the different aspects of this training process as well as the circumstances that how we can make it more practical. Chairperson is also joining us, so I hope he will be able to answer to know. And the NAPTEC representative is also here. So we have got a cross section of people who can contribute towards this particular discussion. Dr. Masroor, Sheikh Saab, if he can.
So, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for sharing these ideas. I would now turn to, so, right word. Yeah. So I will now turn to Ms. Nabila Umar, Director General for National Technical and Vocational Training Commission of Pakistan, and ask that how you think the innovation to education and training systems, the shifts that we are seeing, have the potential to exacerbate existing inequalities for those who are already facing disadvantages in trying to access and engage in learning. And so, what are the plans of NAV for reskilling and upskilling, particularly for those who have lost jobs? Savira?
Thank you so much for your question, Sajad. First, I'd like to thank the administration of ZABIST to have me on the panel for this talk. I think this goes without saying that COVID-19 has hit at an unprecedented scale and a ferocity which is unheard of. And it has impacted so many avenues, so many, the businesses are going down. It has impacted education, tourism, the airline industry, you name it. And the destruction goes on, right? So similarly, TVET is obviously badly impacted by this COVID-19. Since it is a unique situation, TVET is an education where work-based training, hands-on training, workplace-based trainings happen. It's a practical training. It is unique in the sense where we need the physical presence of the student along with the equipment, tools, and the trainer.
Yes.
So this is a challenge that we have sort of encountered. Now the thing is, you just spoke about this this war of haves and have-nots, the digital divide as we call it.
Yeah.
In our society and in our country, you see the target clientele that we have in TVET is unfortunately the low income group segment of society, the vulnerable people of the society. And consequently, they have limited access to what to say of internet, even of electricity. We have long power outages. People do not have their students do not have their devices. They do not have laptops. They do not have tablets. So yes, the divide is great, and we need to think. We can't ignore this divide. The thing is that, but we need to strategize as to how we can minimize it. And then comes the role of the government, obviously, because all of this requires investment. Number one, to invest in improvement of internet infrastructure, the access to internet, even to electricity, to devices. And also we need to plan it in such a way that we can't increase distance learning unless and until we equip the students with the required tools, right? And then we can plan short term courses where learning options include entrepreneurship and more employable skills. That doesn't mean that we are going to do away with the hardcore technical trades. We have to at the same time need electricians, we need plumbers, we need people in the construction sector, we need people in the hospitality sector.
Yes, indeed.
in the background of present reality, in the background of COVID, we need to make a shift to more employable skills and short-term courses. For example,
Yeah.
NAVTech, before COVID-19 hit, we had launched a scheme called the high tech and high end courses, where we had involved top of the top institutes, such as institutes or universities, one would say, uh, in high technologies, high end technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, SAP, ERP. Uh, uh, a lot of courses. It's like the variety is great, right? So we have to design courses. In fact, we have to redesign courses in such a way that we can get
Exactly.
out of this pandemic with minimum damage.
Yeah.
This pause created by the pandemic has created an appetite in the market also. You see, students are sitting
Yes.
home, they want to do something productive. So
Yeah.
I think we need to invest in digital technologies and solutions and in practical skills. The government needs to step in, because the adjustment of distant learning is so great that even students from general education sector are not being able to cope with it. Not is
Yes.
it only a great learning curve, it is also going to leave a lot of gaps. So I think now that the reality has hit us, and now that governments are dealing with the crisis in their own ways, we also need to reshift and redesign and reposition by investment in access to internet, availability of electricity, internet connectivity, and investment in devices. The good thing and the opportunity that we have is that our youth is very tech savvy.
Yeah.
Right, and
Yes. Yes.
they're good in technical, handling all these
Exactly.
gadgets
That's
and
how.
all that.
ये हमारी strength
So
है कि वो लोग बिल्कुल. Exactly.
बिल्कुल वो उसको हैंडल कर सकते हैं. तो इस this threat, this challenge, it can be changed into an opportunity if we do some good proportionate investment online learning, and at the same time we need to invest in it so that we can, in the fold of online learning, we can bring in vulnerable students and students from low income groups.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Samira, for the comprehensive response, sharing ideas and innovative interventions. Thank you. I would now like to ask Ms. Meryl Dick, who is the cultural attaché for culture, economic, and press affairs in the Consulate General for the Federal Republic of Germany in Karachi, and ask how global partnerships and networking will continue to contribute in transforming TVET for sustainable growth. And thereby, what potential do you see in GIZ's work in the near future to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on youth employment in Dhaka?
Yes, thank you very much, Sajad, and thank you also to ZABIST for putting this panel together today. As you may know, vocational training is very common in Germany, and therefore the German Development Agency, GIZ, is working together with different TVET institutions in Pakistan on the TVET sector support program. Now onto your first question. I think collaboration is key in further transforming the TVET program. So national and global actors need to work together to bring also the latest trends from all over the world to Pakistan. Because of course we are all connected, and why make mistakes or learn everything here from the start when you can gain from experience from all over the world. For Pakistan, skilled workforce is very important, and in educating people here, they can also contribute later to the foreign remittances, and thus boosting the socio-economic uplift of Pakistan. A prerequisite is that skills can be learned here in Pakistan and that they correspond with the international quality standards that demand-driven labor has nowadays. In implementing the National Vocational Quality Framework and also in including competency-based training here in Pakistan, first steps have already been taken to ensure that the skills learned in Pakistan are also applicable in different work situations all around the globe. So this is important to make the TVET sector sustainable and so that it not only be useful in Pakistan but also for working all over the globe, and also for enterprises that come into Pakistan, international enterprises, so that you don't have to start again when a new company enters the network.
Yes.
And now onto your second question. You asked what potential GIZ's work has to mitigate the impact.
Exactly.
GIZ is adapting all the current programs. They're not only working in the TVET sector and all their projects to react best to COVID-19. As has already been said, the biggest challenge in regarding the TVET sector is the closure of the educational institutes and organizations. So GIZ is reacting with bringing a digital approach to continue its work for skills learning, for the TVET reforms, and in the employability provisions. A big challenge here is, of course, not only, as Nabila said, that not all participants or most of the participants from the lower income sector don't have access to internet, but also that some skills like the practical training cannot easily be learned remotely because you need equipment and so on. So there we have to focus on creative solutions to bring these skills also into a format where they can be learned remotely, and as Nabila said, to work towards better access for all participants to the program.
Oh, all right. Thanks for such a wonderful response, Maren. And we're always looking positively for partnerships with GIZ as a leader and trendsetter when it comes to the TVET sector. GIZ has been for Pakistan and potentially other parts of the globe as well. I would now turn to Mr. Masroor Ahmed Sheikh, Dr. Masroor Ahmed Sheikh, who's the chairman of Sindh Board of Technical and Vocational Education, and asked how to ensure a better alignment of TVET and adult skills programs with labor market needs in the post-COVID-19 scenario. Dr. Sab. Dr. Sab, you need to unmute your mic, sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I would like thanks to Marine, especially to Germany, for supporting TVET sector in Pakistan.
Yes.
Because I've been involved with TRSP since 2012. When this project started, I was involved in phase 1 and I was involved in phase 2, and then phase 3 is here. So the GIZ provided support in developing first TVET policy, National Vocational Qualification Framework for Pakistan, and innovative training program, introduced innovative training program, CBT-based training program. So we in Pakistan, we are thankful to GIZ and Germany, Netherlands, and other governments, European Union, EU, those have supported TVET sector in Pakistan. Now, if before coming to your question, I would like to mention, as Dr. Suleiman mentioned, that we have, huge number of youth, out of school. If you see our NIMIS report, National Education Management Information Report, March 2018, it clearly mentioned in here that nearly 16 million students drop out from level 5 to level 10. And also, if you see in that report, there are more than 250,000 institutions of general education in public sector, whereas as compared to general education, there are only 3,800 TVET institution in public sector. So it's less than 2% of, if you the TVET sector is less than 2% of the general education if you compare. And in developed countries, for example, if we talk about Germany, it's more than 50%. So this is the issue. We have a huge number of youth out of schools, and majority of our youth joined Ustad Shagird system, where they obtain training through Ustad, but again, they don't have certificates. Again, GIZ, under National Vocational Qualification Framework, RPL is introduced to provide such people training. Now I come to your response to your question that under COVID, again, the GIZ TVET Reform Support provided training to our 10,000 teachers, blended teaching methodology. So under TVET, we need to think about innovative methods of training as well. So one of the best method of teaching could use blended teaching methodology, where you can teach a person online, offline, and face to face. And already we have 10,000 teachers available in Pakistan trained under TVET FM support program. This we have a benefit here. As far as concerned about innovative training program, because when you talk about vocational training, so you should have a hand-on practical training. How you could provide practical hand training under COVID? It's going to be it's going to be very difficult. But there are innovative now technologies as well. For example, you could teach them to learn a skill through virtual reality. Now it's virtual reality softwares are available in teaching skills in many fields. And again, we have simulation technology, simulators. Through simulators, we could teach these people. And people, especially those are learning skill through, under Ustad Shagird training program, they could be provided training. They could provide certification through RPL. So these are the techniques we could use. Again, I would support Nabila idea. Nabila mentioned that we needed more skilled worker, hand-on worker. If you see management pyramid, manager is sitting on the top, and then base you require more workers and supporting hands. But if you see our training program, unfortunately, it's if you see engineering and training program from engineering to vocational training, so it's an inverted pyramid. We are producing more engineer, we are producing more diploma holder as compared to the hand-on practical workers. So this is again issue. But however, this issue was tackled by NFTTC very well, and they have introduced vocational training program. Definitely, we did not needed more people in high-tech technology. We needed labor. We needed plumber, we needed general electrician, we needed drivers, we needed cook. And again, although we have new programs, introduced new programs in new areas, new training program. For example, culinary art now is very popular. Previously, it was not in Pakistan. And thanks to media, then media this promoted this program. So now there are many kids, those are joining. Even kids from posh families, higher class families, they are joining our currently program, training program. And again, fine arts training, training in fine arts in many areas. People from kids from upper class, they are joining, although technical education, vocational training is lower class or middle class education, but people from kids from higher class are also joining. We need to introduce outreach training program, taking training to the doorstep of the people. In Sindh, we have done this with Sindh Board of Technical Education, with the support of Sindh Madrasa to Islam. We have introduced outreach training program in the suburb of Karachi, where they have mobile units, training mobile units. Those training mobile units, they are taking to village to village. So it's again, we need to think about introducing outreach training program, virtual training program, outreach training program, introducing simulators. And also Sindh Board of Technical Education is leading ahead in COVID-19, giving SOP for opening TVET institution in Sindh. It's a comprehensive policy document I have developed, and we have developed at Sindh Board of Technical Education. We could share. We have provided to the government how you could open
Right.
now TVET institute in the Sindh. So again, I would say that we have mentioned blended teaching methodology, through blended teaching methodology using online, offline, and face-to-face within campus. Even within campus, you can do online. Nabila mentioned that people don't have internet facilities available, but maintaining social distancing, you can learn online class in a campus, within a campus. If you have a teacher sitting in at one place, and you have kids, students sitting in 3 or 4 room, where you are running online class through LCD. So this is one of the methods you could do it as well.
Right, right. Thank you so much for the comprehensive response, Dr. Saab, and thank you for sharing the innovation ideas, interventions the board is taking up, sir. I would once again go to Dr. Suleiman Sheikh and ask, sir, that while the COVID-19 pandemic highlights some already existing structural weaknesses of the TVET system, it also brings some opportunities to rethink their readiness. In terms of the new innovative methods that we share today, or of course you may have ideas, how Dr. Sab, can we transform the TVET sector even further to for the upskilling of the already for the people who are suffering job losses, or for the change in industry streams for which we require the new skills. So how can we transform the TVET sector further? This is my question for you, Dr. Salman. You need to unmute your mic, sir. Dr. Saab, you need to unmute. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, I'm responding. Thank you very much for this question, because predominantly Pakistan is an agriculture country, and
Yes.
we are at in 21st century we are trying to industrialize, and we are partially industrial country. So the question is, our economy, or our due to economy, our uh, work base
Yes.
is new technologies for improving the agriculture. In other words, to make the peasant
Yes.
to preserve and get more better uh, uh, product from their agriculture resource, and not only that, to preserve the fruits, to preserve their products, which have got a very short life. And now, for example, I give you the example of mangoes. This is the season of mango, and Pakistani mangoes have got a very big market outside, and but unfortunately, we do not meet with many international standards of preservation, so that our export is not as good, though we are producing. But during the COVID season, the export of mangoes has decreased, as you will know, economically, we have lost a lot of money. And this is the time that we should think how to create new sector and support them so that they can become more productive, and that product should be internationally accepted. Not only this, but we have got another very vibrant sector, the livestock. The livestock as well as the
Yes,
livestock products. As we
exactly.
know, the meat is a very important product which Pakistan can export. Milk is another one which we have got in abundance, and all these things. So therefore, we will have to redesign, as very well said by Nabila, that we have to redesign many courses and
Yes,
to fit in our circumstances. Then there was very important question about our uh, rural Pakistan, that
yes,
the electricity problems in a rural Pakistan is again a challenge. The alternates are there, and now, as we all know, the solar is coming up as the most feasible alternate of
yes,
the electricity, because sunlight is abundant in Pakistan by the grace of Allah, and we can utilize that to convert it into electricity at our rural centers. We are trying this, that how to transform this, and number two, how to train the people in alternate energies
yes,
so that they should be available at the grassroots level to adapt this particular uh, alternate energy products. Uh, and no doubt it has shown some results. Then there
yes,
was a very important question by Nabila, that was on-hand trainings. On-hand
yes,
trainings, especially post-COVID period, is very important, because
yes,
social distancing is very important, and because we do not have uh, the facilities, the industry is only in limited places, and therefore on-hand. So therefore, there are many para-industrial uh, courses which can be introduced. By this, I mean to say that we have to develop such courses which can give the livelihood to a young man without going to industry.
yes. You're absolutely right. You're
If they can,
absolutely right.
as we have already mentioned, the
Yes,
entrepreneurship, and on a
yes,
smaller level, because one of our government's program is to offer small loans to young people to start their businesses. Now,
yes,
if they do not have the basic information and basic technology to start the business, they will not be able to succeed. So, therefore, what we are trying to do is to give them the business management courses online, as well as we can put them onto the rural businesses. For example, the construction business. Now, the construction business is
yes,
all over, and we have to put them on the construction business on-hand trainings, and then they can be utilized and they can become more useful. So there's a very vast field.
yes,
Wherever you
exactly.
go, you will get opportunities, but it is the only the question of aligning them to the national level. We have to find out the supports from different donors and the government of Pakistan and the government of provincial governments to support these new uh, trades. That is, those are not the industrial trades, but the para-industrial trades, because they
Exactly.
support
Yes,
indirectly the industries also. Because whatever the raw materials are being produced in the agriculture field are to be properly processed to go to the industry to give you
yes,
the final product. So
exactly.
this is a transformation phase.
Yes, yes,
Have to
yes,
transform the agriculture things to the industry, so that to make our industry more stronger and more dependent on the local products rather than importing the raw materials from outside. So these are few of
There's
the discussions which we
yes,
can go on and
yes.
we can develop the new courses from them.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for such a comprehensive response. And certainly, these are very important discussion points for the upcoming dialogues to be had. I would now turn to Ms. Savina Umar. You mentioned a mix of high, low, and no-tech solutions that should be taken in account as continuous learning solutions. And you were also quoted during this meeting with Dr. Masroor Saab and Dr. Salman Sheikh Saab quoted the same stuff. So whether online or offline, distance learning requires adequate ICT infrastructure. So what's your take on this any adaptation of the curricula and training so that an experience which the most trainer students who may not have this adopted curricula which requires distance learning and adequate ICT infrastructure. So what's your take on this, on these low tech, high tech, and no tech solutions?
So you see, Sajad, there are some technologies which require the physical presence of the student on the campus. It has to be work-based. But at the same time, there are some technologies related to ICT, right?
Yes.
Which can
Yes.
be introduced. They can be called high-end technologies because mostly they are taught in universities and not in technical and vocational institutes and education sector, right? So we have, for example, we have IBA Karachi, we have NED University, we have DHA Sofa University, and a lot of other universities which are taking short courses, 3 months, 4 months, and even 6 months online courses for these high-end technologies such as artificial intelligence, SAP ERP, which is the enterprise resource planning, and also the fact that employability in these subjects is quick. It's like you get training for about 3 months, and there is an instant demand in the market. For example, this course called ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, and there's another course by the name of Project Management Professionals. Our experience while interviewing students for these courses was that the response was overwhelming. And when we spoke to the students, we were told by them that they were already, most of them were employed, and the companies that they were working in were ready to pay for their enhancement and upgradation of skills. So post COVID, we have to go back to our on-campus training for
Yes.
technical trade, right? But this period can be right. I'll have to. You see, the number of clientele may be limited, but then something is better than doing nothing at all, right?
Exactly.
So we
Exactly. Yeah.
have to involve in universities for these courses. They are ready to do that, and their curriculums are ready. We don't have to redesign. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Their curriculums are ready with universities, and they can be implemented in remote learning. In fact, even in normal circumstances for these courses, they do not require student to be present on the campus all the times. They just require their physical presence once or twice a week, and rest of the work, the project that has been assigned to them, that can be done at their home remotely. So curriculums are already in place for these high-end technologies, but training providers are limited. Training providers are only universities, not hardcore technical
Exactly.
training institutes. Yeah.
Right, right. Thank you, Mr. Virover. Dr. Masroor Saab, आपने अभी artificial intelligence and the other methods of methods का भी आपने जिक्र किया. Do you think the same this COVID-19 pandemic has taught us what innovation in the selection of traits or various other traits जो introduce हुए हैं. For example, working यानी offline work ने online work ने इस जो change किया है dynamics of the workmanship and skills required by the human resource, इसने जन्म दिया है कुछ न्यू किस्म के कोर्सेज को, जो कि हमारे ऑडियंस कुछ सुनना चाहेंगे कि ऐसे कौन से ट्रेड्स हैं जिनकी इंपॉर्टेंस अब ज्यादा हो गई है in the post COVID-19 world. So डॉक्टर साहब, could you shed some light on it and और बोर्ड इसको किस तरह से देख रहा है adaptability?
Shall I reply in Urdu or English?
सर मिक्स कर लीजिए, तो हमारे कुछ लोग भी सुन रहे हैं.
आपने उर्दू में सवाल किया तो उसमें मैं शायद आप चाह रहा हूँ कि उर्दू में.
जी सर, जी सर.
तो ऐसा है कि अगर हम ऐसे नबीला ने कहा हाई एंड टेक्नोलॉजी कोर्सेज और लो एंड टेक्नोलॉजी कोर्सेज, और हमारे डॉक्टर सुलेमान साहब ने कहा कि रूरल एरिया, तो बड़ी इम्पोर्टेंट बात है कि देखिए जो हमारे यहाँ एक जो इशू है सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट का, लोगों को कॉन्सेप्ट मतलब समझ ही नहीं आ रही कि सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट भी कोई चीज होती है. हाई एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में जो है सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट की अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत ज्यादा है, लेकिन फिर अगेन वो अर्बन एरियाज के लिए तो फिट होते हैं, लेकिन रूरल एरियाज के लिए जहाँ मेजॉरिटी ऑफ यूथ है हमारे, जो बेचारे जिनके पास एक तो फैसिलिटीज भी अवेलेबल नहीं है और साथ में ट्रेनिंग फैसिलिटीज भी अवेलेबल नहीं है, एजुकेशन भी नहीं है, और जैसे कि आउट ऑफ स्कूल बच्चे यूथ जो है वो ज्यादातर हमारे रूरल एरियाज में. आपको एक बड़ी बड़ी इम्पोर्टेंट बात है कि मेजॉरिटी ऑफ यूथ जो अनएम्प्लॉयड है या तो वो रूरल इकोनॉमी को ज्वाइन करते हैं, जैसे डॉक्टर सलमान ने कहा. तो उन बच्चों के लिए हमें सोचना है. फिर अगेन सवाल आता है कि कोविड-19 में सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग के साथ हाउ यू कैन टीच रूरल यूथ. ठीक है, तो इसके लिए मैंने जो बात कही थी, मैंने ये कही थी कि ये ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग मेथोडोलॉजी बच्चे के घर पे नहीं दे रहे हैं, आप इंस्टीट्यूट में दे रहे हैं सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग के साथ. जहाँ हमारे पॉलिटेक्निक है, तो पॉलिटेक्निक जहाँ टीचर की शॉर्टेज है, अगर हम शहर के किसी पॉलिटेक्निक से कोई क्लास स्टार्ट करते हैं तो क्लास ऑनलाइन उस रूरल एरिया के पॉलिटेक्निक में, रूरल एरिया के इंस्टीट्यूट में ऑनलाइन ट्रांसमिट हो सकती है. तो एक तो हमें ये करना चाहिए, विद इन इंस्टीट्यूट भी करना चाहिए, टीचर की शॉर्टेज भी मीट आउट होगी. फिर जैसे मैंने कहा कि ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग मेथोडोलॉजी के तहत ऑलरेडी 10,000 टीचर पूरे पाकिस्तान में ट्रेन किए गए हैं, जिसमें मैं आई वाज रीडिंग दैट ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम with the support of GIZ. So Sindh में we have trained 2,500 teachers in the blended methodology. So those teachers expertise could be utilized in this time. अब लो एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, फिर बात आती है कि लो एंड टेक्नोलॉजी किस क्लास को, हमारी मिडिल क्लास को और लोअर क्लास की नीड है. हमें जो है रोबोटिक्स में ज्यादा लोग नहीं चाहिए. कितनी जॉब्स होंगी रोबोटिक्स में? ठीक है. फिर आईटी में जो जॉब्स हैं वो अर्बन एरिया में होंगी, रूरल एरियाज में नहीं होंगी. रूरल एरियाज में हमें जो है एग्रीकल्चर, डॉक्टर सलमान ने बिल्कुल सही बात की, या तो हमें एग्रो बेस्ड ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम, क्योंकि हमारा इशू ये है कि हम एग्रो बेस्ड ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग में लेके ही नहीं आ पाए अभी तक. सब बच्चे एग्री करेंगे. मैं मुझे बता देंगे कौन सा, सिवाय इसके कि आपका जो है वो जो है डेयरी एनिमल का प्रोग्राम है या फिशरीज का प्रोग्राम है, इसके अलावा और कौन सा प्रोग्राम दिखा देंगे. क्या आपने ड्रिप इरिगेशन के प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट किए, क्या आपने दूसरे वैल्यू चेन के प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट किए? ठीक है. तो कोई इस तरह की, जैसे डॉक्टर सलमान ने बात की कि सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट की बच्चों को लिए ट्रेनिंग, जो मैनेजमेंट की ट्रेनिंग कराई जाए और जो है उनको फिर लोन दे दिया जाए और इंक्यूबेशन प्रोजेक्ट जो है वो स्टार्ट किया जाए. तो वो क्या कि बच्चे ने अगर कमर्शियल इंस्टीट्यूट में 6 महीने का मैनेजमेंट की ट्रेनिंग की और उसको एक शॉप खोल के दे दी, उसमें पेप्सी और दूसरे जितने सप्लायर हैं उन्होंने पैसे नहीं दिए, उन्होंने अपने प्रोडक्ट दे दिए 1 महीने के लिए या 6 महीने के लिए फ्री. तो इस तरह का कोई क्योंकि मैकेनिज्म हमें डेवलप करना पड़ेगा उनके सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए बच्चों को. फिर एक तो ये, दूसरा फिर ये कि हमें रूरल एरियाज में आउटरीच ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट करने पड़ेंगे, मोबाइल यूनिट ट्रेनिंग यूनिट डेवलप करने पड़ेंगे जो कि मोबाइल हो. क्योंकि जाहिर है किसी अगर गाँव में देहात में अगर 100 बच्चे हैं, 150 बच्चे हैं, जाहिर है उनके लिए आप पॉलिटेक्निक नहीं खोल सकते, पूरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर खड़ा नहीं कर सकते. लेकिन आप उनको ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं थ्रू मोबाइल यूनिट। आप एक मोबाइल यूनिट आपने प्लम्बर या जनरल इलेक्ट्रिशियन के लिए ट्रेनिंग के लिए बनाया या ऑटो मैकेनिक की ट्रेनिंग के लिए बनाया, वो मोबाइल ट्रेनिंग यूनिट वहाँ पे खड़ा हो जाए। अगर गांव में 100 बच्चे हैं तो उनको ट्रेन कर दे 6 महीने में, फिर वो मूव हो जाए दूसरी जगह। इन द मीन टाइम वेल्डिंग की ट्रेनिंग कहीं दूसरा मोबाइल यूनिट करा रहा हो, वो वहां से मूव हो जाए। तो ये मोबाइल ट्रेनिंग सिस्टम पे और आपको वर्चुअल ट्रेनिंग पे मूव करना पड़ेगा। वर्चुअल ट्रेनिंग क्या हुआ, बात मैंने की वर्चुअल ट्रेनिंग सिमुलेशन सिमुलेटर से आप इस तरह के आ गए कि अब वो वीडियो गेम भी हैं, वीडियो
जी
गेम तो थे लेकिन अब वीडियो गेम नहीं रहे, क्योंकि उनके साथ अब जो है शामिल हो गई असेसमेंट भी, कि बच्चा वो वर्चुअली कर रहा होता है वीडियो गेम की तरह, और उसके एंड में उसकी असेसमेंट आ जाती है व्हेन वी फिनिश दैट एक्टिविटी, दिस इज हाउ
जी
यू डन। और वेल्डिंग में आप देखिए मौजूद है, पेंटिंग में मौजूद है, कारपेंट्री में मौजूद है, अब दूसरे एरियाज में भी आ रहे हैं ये वर्चुअल ट्रेनिंग के यूनिट्स। और इतने इफेक्टिव है ये कि आपको कोई इसकी कॉस्ट नहीं है, मतलब ऑपरेटिंग कैसे कंप्यूटर की, मतलब बिजली इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कम ले रहा है, जनरेटर पे चल सकते हैं वो। दूसरी बात यह कि मोबाइल भी है, आपने एक जगह ट्रेनिंग कराई दूसरी जगह ले जाए उन यूनिट्स को वर्चुअल ट्रेनिंग के। और कोई इन्वायरमेंटल हैजर्ड नहीं है। वर्चुअल ट्रेनिंग यूनिट जो है वो आपको नंबर ऑफ टाइम प्रैक्टिस प्रोवाइड करते हैं। एक बच्चा पेंटिंग की मैं समझता हूँ कि अगर 10 बार प्रैक्टिस करेगा, उसके बाद एक बार जो हफ्ते में रियल प्रैक्टिस करेगा, तो उसके मूवमेंट बॉडी मूवमेंट सेट हो जाएगी। तो इसी तरह
बिल्कुल
वेल्डिंग में उसकी बॉडी मूवमेंट सेट हो जाएगी। तो हमें ये अभी करना पड़ेगा, जरूरी है। क्योंकि देखिए बात यह है कि अर्बन एरियाज में भी बेरोजगारी है, रूरल एरियाज में बेरोजगारी है, लेकिन हमें अब जो है ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम जो है सबके लिए करने पड़ेंगे। खास तौर से हमें रूरल एरियाज के बच्चों के लिए ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम करने पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि देखिए अर्बन हमारे एरियाज बढ़ते चले जा रहे हैं, उनकी आबादी बढ़ती चले
बिल्कुल
जाती है। क्यों बढ़ रही है? इसलिए बढ़ रही है कि वो बेचारे जॉब की तलाश में इधर आ रहे हैं। अगर उनको वहीं जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल जाए तो कौन अपना घर छोड़ता है? ठीक है सर।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच, बड़ा ही कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव और बड़ा डिटेल्ड और रियलिस्टिक, एंड थैंक यू फॉर touching the rural poverty, rural employment as a primary subject of your answer, sir. I would once again now go to this man from the German consulate. And I'd ask that not only has the German assistance been substantial and the most prominent being the TVET sector, my question to you is that public-private partnerships as a subject has also been very strongly promoted by GIZ. In the new changing world, what changes do you see in terms of public-private partnerships assisting Pakistan's TVET sector to explore and further trades and putting in more efforts to take in more industry ideas and having the human resource skill sets more ready for the coming world? So, what potential role do you see of public-private partnerships in the TVET sector in the upcoming work stream?
Quickly, please. There was some connection error, so I couldn't catch your whole question.
It's okay. I'll repeat. In addition to the TVET sector, the German assistance to Pakistan in terms of TVET has also promoted a lot of public-private partnerships to support the implementation. So, in wake of the current pandemic and with the changing economy and jobs and skill sets requirement, what role do you think public-private partnerships can play now on even a broader scale to change the TVET sector for the better?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I think the important part of TVET is that all shareholders communicate and that they can coordinate. So, of course, the public sector, the government has an interest in having skilled population, lots of skilled Pakistanis to boost the economy,
Yes.
and also public partners, enterprises, but also educational institutes that are sometimes private, sometimes public. have an interest in working together,
Yes.
and the enterprises to have skilled workers that meet their demands, and so that they can work, can just have
Exactly.
effective workforce.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why
Thank-
public-private partnerships are very important, and the coordination between all the partners and shareholders is imperative. Not only the skill sets are important, but also the employability, and that needs to be focused on even more, so that industries have to be involved in the design of training, and so that they can offer the necessary on-the-job training. So I would think that public-private partnerships are even more important now because, of course, with COVID-19, the enterprises have also been disrupted in their normal working days. So maybe the demands they have to the workers now are changing, and
Yes.
even more quickly. So to react to this changed needs and to anticipate the demands of the industry, the public-private networks have to be strengthened, so that the educational institutions, the government can prepare the workers accordingly.
All right. All right. Thank you. That was a wonderful response. For today's last question from the panel, I would again go to Dr. Salman Sheikh Saab and ask briefly that in his opinion, what the policy reforms or what amendments in the legal framework or which governs the TVET sector, or what policy reforms is his expectation from the government to support these immediate changes that we need in the TVET sector. So what sort of support, policy reforms and programs is the thing that the expectation from the government of Sindh in terms of?
सर सजा साहब सर जब डॉक्टर सलमान साहब रिप्लाई करते हैं तो मैं I would say something on this. I have
Yes, sir.
proposal. I have proposal for.
Sir, bilkul. I'll take you on as well, sir. Dr. Salman sir.
Yes.
Sir, my question. Did you hear my question, sir? Probably, sir. वहाँ पे कोई power का issue हुआ है. So if you wanted to add on this, Dr. Masroor sir, so I request you.
Sure. So as I said that we need to promote virtual learning, we need to promote outreach training program, and one thing I mentioned in the start that a huge number of dropout. We have a huge number of dropout from level 5 to level 10. So and I also mentioned that TVET, if we compare it with general education, is hardly less than 2%. So we need to expand, scope area of TVET, how we could spend, because it's very difficult it's very costly to establish new institution. What we could do, we could vocationalize general education. So we could start training in schools, vocational training, in the past government made efforts. They have introduced comprehensive school training program. They have introduced agro-technical program. Well, I think this is the one of the best way that if we expand our technical education in schools and we start vocational training program in schools, and as I mentioned that we should develop mobile unit. These mobile unit we could use in schools in remote areas as well for providing training. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I think we have Dr. Salman Sheikh Saab back online. And again, I repeat the question that what is his expectation in terms of policies and programs initiatives from the government in order to support the emerging changes that we see in the TVET sector? Can you hear us, Professor?
Thank you. So that, as we know, as our chairman, access to technical education. That shows that we have to enhance this, and that has to be done. Private sector, industrial sector, the agriculture sector, everybody has to contribute towards this, free of cost to the participants. Party are uneducated, and participants are looking for their economical role in the national economy. So we have to support them from different angles. Presently, when the corona lockdown came in, we had to close down our institutions, and we had no way to maintain the trainers, how we can pay the trainers. So this is a very important issue, and we have launched a TVET fund. So to raise our funds in order to maintain the skilled master trainers employed. Their employment has to be maintained. Otherwise, they will go away. So this is one very important problem. Number two problem is our provision of our power. That is, during our webinar, we have lost electricity for twice. Twice we had a difficulty. So therefore, these are the practical problems wherein government and private sector has to join hands to solve the problem. It cannot be in isolation. We as a private sector, we can only appeal to the support organizations as well as the government that whatever the resources they have, they can sit down with us and we can be the vehicle of delivery. We have to deliver, and we have tried to penetrate into the areas where nobody went.
Right.
Because all the training centers were located outside. Students cannot sustain themselves in metropolis. So we had to go to the smaller centers and try to develop the facilities so that they should have the training facilities at the doorstep, and they should not bother to come to the metropolis. But then we need support from the industry. So we have got a lot of problems which require more cooperations and more support from different areas. But there should be nucleus. So we have tried to create a nucleus. And this webinar is trying to get the cooperation from the donors, from the support organizations, from the government, in order to, wherever the government facilities are not functioning properly, if we can support them, we are ready to support them. If they want to cooperate, so that we can utilize that particular facility. I know that the Sindh Technical Board has got their facilities all over, and these facilities should be utilized, fully utility. So therefore, the private sector and whatever the young people who are working with me, they are more innovative and more energetic to go into the rural areas anywhere in Pakistan and can support this particular activity so that our youth should have a proper job after a few months of their training, and we can extend that training period as per the requirement of the industry or the sector. And by sector, I believe the agriculture sector, which has
Yes.
not been touched at all. And
Yes.
agriculture sector has got many another subsectors, as I said, the dairy center, dairy farming, and as well as livestock farming. So these are and preservation of our fruits and vegetables for export. And
Yes.
we have a lot of market in the Middle East or in the Europe, where the
Yes.
fresh vegetables and fresh
Yes.
fruits may be getting a good market price. So all this we need to support. We are a small
Right.
country,
Yes.
but we, by the grace of Allah, we have got a lot of resources.
Yeah,
We
mashallah.
have to use them. We have
Yeah.
to modernize them. We have to transform them into skill formation so that our youth, which is disconnected, should be connected with their roots.
Right, sir.
That's what
Right.
we believe.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. It has been great to know your ideas, initiatives, and potential programming by ZABTech in the upcoming future, and to create skills development, professional training systems, and opportunities. And so, while the COVID-19 pandemic highlights some existing structural weaknesses, it's also bringing these opportunities which our distinguished panelists share today. Rethink their readiness to face similar crises in the future with more agility, and hence a mix of high and low and no tech solutions, taking into account the continuous learning solutions. And whether online or offline, this distance training requires this adequate ICT infrastructure, which was reinforced by almost all the panelists today, to adapt to curricula and trainer training, an experience which many trainers and students may not have currently. So TVET, yes, indeed plays an important role in the coping phase, intermediate phase, and post-COVID-19 phase. Therefore, there is this urgent need to reposition TVET post-COVID-19 with new approaches and solutions. And with this, we come to the formal close of this webinar. I'm grateful for the active participation of our distinguished panelists today. And I'm also thankful for the excellent participation we've had from TVET sector stakeholders, academia, industry, and most of all the students. I'm especially thankful to ZABTech for giving me and the SZABIST support unit SIN this opportunity to lead such a dialogue and an interactive exchange on TVET sector and to highlight its vital role for sustainable development. It has been a great learning experience and the sharing of ideas and possible interventions in the near future at the policy, program, and institutional levels. I thank you all once again, and with the wish to interact with you all in a similar setting in the near future. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you very much, ZABTech. Thank you very much for it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Navira. Thank you very
Thank you very much.
much.
On behalf of SZABIST, I thank all of you. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.